This is a Dell Optiplex GX620 computer. I got this computer from Goodwill for a whopping $20, and it is a fully functional machine. When I first got the machine, it originally had an, I believe it was a Pentium 4 at 3 GHz. Yeah, it was 3 GHz Pentium 4 with hyperthreading. That was the original processor, and here, as you can see by the sticker, and it had 512 megs of RAM, two 256 meg modules, which is quite low for this new machine, but well, I guess this is what it would have come with. I'm not exactly sure. And as you can see, it was also designed for Windows XP. So when I got this machine, I got it with the intention of using it as my main machine in replacement of my barebone PC, which you've seen in a couple previous videos. I have since upgraded this machine to 4 gigs of RAM. Actually, it's only capable of allocating 3.5 gigs of it, but it does have 4 gigs installed. So, yeah. It also has a Pentium D 940 processor in it, which I installed and replaced the original Pentium 4. I'll get to the details on that in a second. But let's go over to the back. On the back here you can see the power supply. This is a 305 watt power supply. Under here you can see the audio ports, an Ethernet port, 6 USB ports, a parallel port, VGA output, and a serial port there. Under there, which is quite crooked, I need to fix that, we can see a graphics card which I installed. This is actually an nVidia GeForce GT520 card, which was also originally in my barebone PC, and you can kind of see it in there. It is a low profile card, and a PCI modem, which is obviously unused. So let me go ahead and open the machine and show you the inside. So it's pretty easy to open. Just pull this lever here, pull off the side panel. I'll go ahead and lay the machine down flat. Alrighty, so on the inside here we can see first off, the ginormous Dell BTX cooling fan here. Now about this, like I said, this originally had a Pentium 4 at 3 gigahertz, and consequently, it has the Pentium 4 style heatsink back here. Now I also got a Dell Optiplex 745 machine, which is actually my brother's machine now. So yeah, and it originally came with a Pentium D 945, which is clocked at 3.4 gigahertz. The Pentium D in here is a Pentium D 940, which is clocked at 3.2 gigahertz. Now the Pentium D chip runs quite hot, and it is questionable whether this heatsink is sufficient or not to handle that hot of a CPU, but based on my experience, it has worked just fine. The fan does rev up a bit, usually just when you're doing CPU intensive tasks, but other than that, it seems to work just fine. So yeah, and as you can see, there's my 4 gigs of DDR2 memory. Up here we have a DVD, I believe it's just a DVD-R drive, CD-RW drive. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, over here we've got 2 SATA connectors under there, an IDE connector up there, which is for the, oh wait, that's actually the front panel ribbon cable. The IDE channel is right there next to the power connection, and as you can see under there we have 2 more SATA ports, which gives this machine a total of 4 SATA ports. So you can use 2 SATA optical drives and 2 SATA hard disks under there. This machine did not come with a hard disk, and I installed this 200 gigabyte Western Digital drive. As you can see, there's the nVidia GeForce GT520 graphics card. Works very well in this system. It actually runs faster in this system and gets a higher rating on the Windows Experience Index than it did in my barebone PC. I don't really know why that is, but maybe faster bus speeds or maybe even a better power supply. I don't really know what the cause would be. Most likely faster bus speed if I had to guess. But yeah, this machine has a Intel 945 chipset, so that explains the 3.5 gig RAM limitation. And yeah, as you can see, it has a Broadcom onboard Gigabit Ethernet module. And yeah, there is the inside of the system. So I'm going to go ahead and get it hooked up to a monitor and keyboard mouse and put it in my normal setup for using this machine. And we will go ahead and boot it up. So, be right back. Alright, I've gotten the Dell Optiplex GX620 in its spot. So let's go ahead and power it up. Turn on the monitor. As you can see, it says Pentium D right there. And it is now booting Windows 7. It is running Windows 7 64-bit edition. As you can see, it boots decently quickly. And I am planning to get Mac OS X installed on this machine at some point. Probably Lion. And I must have plugged my keyboard and mouse into different USB ports, which is why it's installing new hardware. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to System Properties here. As you can see, it detects the Pentium D 940 CPU at 3.2 gigahertz. 4 gigs of RAM, as I said, 3.5 gigs only usable. 64-bit OS, so it's not the 32-bit OS limitation. And the Windows Experience Index is a 4.8. So let's go ahead and go into that. As you can see, the primary hard disk is what is giving it the lowest score, which is 4.8. And it is only a SATA 1 drive. And like I said, it's a 200 gig Western Digital drive. Gaming graphics gets a 5.8. Desktop graphics gets a 5.0. Memory gets a 5.4. And the CPU gets a 4.9. Now the CPU only got a 4.7 on my barebone PC, even though it is the exact same processor. I found that pretty strange. Let me go ahead and go into Device Manager here. As you can see, under Display Adapters, it detects the nVidia GeForce GT520 card. This card has a gig of video memory, by the way. Actually, I forgot to mention the internal floppy disk on this machine does not work. I formatted a disk on a PC, put it in, and it just won't read it, and it tells me to format it again and won't format. So, I think the drive is bad. Network adapters has, as I mentioned before, a Broadcom Gigabit Ethernet card. It's a Broadcom NetXtreme 57XX card. Detects both cores of the Pentium D 940, Intel 945 chipset. So, yeah, that is the Dell Optiplex GX620. Hope you enjoyed this video.